I watched Miss Marvel. Um, Honestly, it's it's not a good show. Like it's not a good show. It had the potential to be one of the MCU's best. It even had the potential to be one of the best origin stories. Period. But it, now, just for starters, I don't know a lot about Miss Marvel. What I know is now what was in the show. Um, so I can't attest to what's comic book accurate or not. I just know from what I know, and I know from what I just seen, trying to figure this whole thing out. Um, and what I know is that they made up the powers for the show. Like there were some elements where they exhibited her power specifically at the season finale. But from what I know, they just made this up. She's basically like a sparkly Green Lantern. Um, and it's I think the show suffers from that. Like her power just doesn't make sense. And then she's time traveling, and I had to look it up. Like the Bangles exist, like because she teleports, she switched between her and Captain Marvel, and I had to look into that. Like, yes, the thing now it's in the MCU, blah blah, but it's in the comics, but now it's apparently in the MCU. Um, Nobody was wearing bracelets. Like she had the bangle on, and I watched that scene like 3 times. Like what was on Captain America, Captain Marvel, was just the accents in her like gloves or something. So it's just because when the first time I watched it annoyed me too because it was like, I'm a white guy, I don't want to speak about blah blah. It's like, dude, you okay? I kind of get what he was saying, but it's like if this good is good. If it's a good backstory, it's a good backstory. Like they showed the culture, like her culture, and it was good. A lot of stuff didn't make sense how they played that out, but you're not critiquing the culture. Like that's stupid. But I don't know, like that part of the show is really good. If it was on some exploration, Assassin's Creed, no fighting, you just explore and get knowledge, like that's great. If that's what Cage could have did, that's kind of what Moon Knight was doing for like 3 episodes. Just that show is ridiculous. Like it's 6 episodes, and he just wasted it with like a CGI hippopotamus possession fight with made up character, and it was just for nothing. Like Moon Knight just felt like it was just for nothing. Um, then we got Oscar Isaac, so let's just do some shit. But whatever. Um, but yeah, like if it was just that, because the episodes where Kamala's with her family, and then she goes to Pakistan, and then like she's with more of a family, and like that part is dope. Like that part is good. Sign me up for that. Like I do want to see a fight here and there, but you're not gonna have me believe someone who's just discovering her powers. I don't care about that 10-second training montage. Someone who's just discovering her powers who's an active teenager, is going to be a, adults that have trained and are superpowered themselves, but have trained for like 2 times her life, Like it was 1942, the people were grown already. Grown and middle aged, I'll say. Probably past middle age. Grown and past middle age in 1940. 1942 is 2022. But I've seen this one thing says 2024, even better. It's just, and like that's confusing too, because if it's after Spider-Man thing got destroyed, and Liberty had a shield, but it was complete repaired. So assuming it has to be after, because that's the whole end game, And obviously Thor's after. So it was like speculation that Kamran's gonna be like in the Dark Avengers, or Thunderbolts because like he's a villain in the comics, and it's just like, oh my goodness. Can we work out Kamala first before we start all this other stuff? It's just the show could have been really good, but they settled on cheap CGI fights. Like this one person, and then they tried so hard to make it like it's a racial situation. It's a racial situation with the mask, and I didn't get that. I really thought this person, cause like she knew the terms, she knew the words. I didn't feel like she was a racist character. The main cop that was just adamant on catching people. It's just, I don't know, it's just very, very Marvel. These shows, like you don't, cause WandaVision wasn't 6 episodes. Like you don't have to make stuff 6 episodes. Like maybe it could have been better if it was stretched out longer. Just two more episodes, or even a 7th episode. But everything just fit too neatly and was very much rushed. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's just too rushed. But no, you still can't convince me this child is beating these 158-year-olds. You just can't convince me that. But whatever, it is what it is, man. And watching that and dealing with Prime Day is ass. Like Prime Day is not good, bro. But that's not what this is about. But yeah, so Miss Marvel, 6 episodes done. It's obviously tying into the Marvels that's coming. It's gonna have Monica Rambeau, the Marvels, you know the Marvels. But I don't know. Miss Marvel, I don't know what's next. I think She-Hulk is next. But I expect big things from She-Hulk, to be honest with you. Everyone's expecting a cameo at the end too. Well, because it's the finale, expecting a cameo from Miss Marvel, and I don't think we got that. Like they just switched bodies, they just switched places. So yeah, it's like where is she at now? I don't know, because the show's weird too. Because like at some points they treat her like a child, but then other points she's just doing all of these seasoned veteran and superhero stuff, and it's just. Is she a child? Is you gonna treat her like a child, or is she going to be like? It's just all over the place to me, and it very much feels like they need new storytellers. But what's his name? Taika Waititi. He can't do everything. James Gunn can't do everything. Like they need better storytellers for these TV shows. Even with the format, like just trim down if you have 6 episodes. You can trim down what you want to do, trim down the story you want to tell, and still be comic book faithful. Don't just make up shit. And like, it's made up shit. That's the worst part too. Like, it just made up shit. Like, you already have America jumping into different multiverses. Now we got Kamala, goddamn time traveler, creating paradoxes. Like, from what I know from Doctor Who, she created hella paradoxes. Some Back to the Future paradoxes, and it's just so yeah, the grandfather whatever from Umbrella Academy, like that's just crazy to me. Just crazy. You just slip in time travel. Also just slipped in that she's a mutant. What? What? Like, it would piss me off. Mutants been around this whole time, just hidden, because it's already an insult that all this stuff happens in New York and no one else is jumping to fight. But then we get them in collab movies, or they get their own solo movies. Like, bro, using Spider-Man's in New York this entire time is what you're telling me. Daredevil's in this entire time. Doctor Strange is there this entire time and didn't bother to help the Avengers. Like the Ancient One and Wong, like, and Mordo, like they were there the entire time in 2012 for the Chitauri invasion. But it's just, that would annoy me. Mutants was here the entire time. And of course you see idiots, well, what about Professor X? That's not the same Earth. But it's just crazy. Just slip in the very last second that she's a mutant. That's booty. Like, that don't make no sense to me. That's crazy. But yeah, whatever, man. That'll do for this. I'll be back. I don't know if I'm gonna see Thor. I'll probably wait. It'd be on Disney, like around back to school time, like around Labor Day probably. So I catch it there for sure. Around Halloween, it'll be on Disney. So yeah, that do it for it. See you in the next one. Bye.